Hello and welcome to the Trumped Up Podcast, Season 2, Episode 7, We the People. You can check out our podcasts across all kinds of podcasting platforms, and we're now available on iHeartRadio podcasts. We just were added there after the last episode. You can also check us out on Spreaker now, as well as Anchor, Apple, Google, Spreaker, Stitcher, and several other, pretty much across all major podcasting platforms. So just in the last couple days, I believe it was just yesterday, Bernie Sanders dropped out of the Democratic presidential primary race. Apparently, he didn't even like his own socialist views and didn't think they were going to sell to America, or he did it for the sake of the country with everything's going on. And we probably should move on from the primaries and just get on with the general election. So that leaves Joe Biden to continue on with his blunders and his apparent cognitive decline. It's kind of funny. I seen a commercial today by one of his super PACs talking about all the great things that he would do in a pandemic if he was president instead of what Donald Trump has done as president. But what that super PAC seemed to forget or missed or lost out on in their process of making this commercial is Biden was vice president with Obama during a pandemic before, not to the massive contagions we have now, and they epically failed. They didn't shut down anything. They didn't do anything. Obama went golfing, and Biden doesn't know where he is half the time or what's going on. He doesn't even know how to do a freaking podcast. He needed to be prompted by his wife when to speak during these video things he's doing. I mean, every time he comes out and does another one of these, it's like an epic failure. I mean, how do you expect to run the country if you can't run something as simple as a stupid freaking video statement to the world or virtual town hall or whatever you want to call it? But we'll move on from that because politics are politics, and we'll get back into that later. So originally they were saying these really high numbers projected by the CDC and the coronavirus task force the White House put together. These numbers are turning out to be better than projected. They're saying originally they were going to say mid to late next week, we were going to hit our peak for cases of the coronavirus, but it turns out that it's probably going to be this Sunday where the peak, and we're going to start to see a decline in cases and probably deaths. And the increase in deaths we're seeing like this week are pretty much people that have already been on ventilators and they've been in the hospital already, and they're succumbing to not just the coronavirus but their underlying health conditions. Which takes me to another point of the way they're listing deaths now. If you looked at medical statistics of deaths, you would see things like the flu deaths have dropped off. Things like heart attack deaths have dropped off. That's because even if you went out and got hit by a bus, your lung collapsed, and you had coronavirus, but that's not what you died from. You died from getting hit by a bus. They're going to classify your death as coronavirus and bring the numbers up, which I can kind of understand because it makes it more realistic and better to the people that we shut all this stuff down in the economy. So if we didn't, these numbers were this high, and they would have been even way higher if we did nothing, which is highly likely. I mean, a lot of people in the world actually live the way that they're having everybody doing with the physical distancing. It's not, I don't know why they keep calling it social distancing. It's physical distancing. Stay 6 feet away from people. Social distancing would be going in a room and don't talk to anybody, don't go on the internet, don't talk on the telephone. But no, you can still be social despite not being next to somebody or going out to a bar, the movies, out to dinner, on a date, to a casino, to a sporting event. It's still possibly a social. We have all this technology, which makes it great, which takes me to all the people that are talking about, oh, suddenly the kids are out of school and oh my God, we have to homeschool and they're going to suffer. And well, let me tell you, my kid's been going to an online public school for quite a few years now, and there's absolutely no change to her routine except for the stupid standardized MCAS testing. Standardized testing just needs to go away in the first place, in my opinion, because kids aren't standard. So why is the test saying a standard? Not everybody meets your standards, but it is what it is. But this is just pointing out that one thing in a long line of things where, hey, in the winter there's a snow day and the school's shut down, and if they knew the day before, they would have sent some take-home work with the kid and they could have did that or whatever. But they have online public education through certain programs with systems not like Zoom. It's not Zoom. There's different curriculums. There's a Blackboard Collaborative. There's the K-12 program. There's the Connections Academy. They all have this software. It already exists. So for the future, when school starts next year, schools need to get with the times and implement this. I understand some children are low income and they don't have computers. We can find a way to take care of that with funds that go to schools so they can get a cheap computer that they can do their schoolwork, because it's not like an online video game where you need a highly advanced computer. You need a pretty basic computer or a tablet to do the schoolwork and to log into the classroom. But that's one change that's going to come in the future, where there's not going to be snow days. It's just going to be an online school day. Or if there's another pandemic someday, let's hope not, and we have to shut down the country, teachers will be able to teach virtually, which I don't know why they can't now, because we have Facebook, and the teacher could do a Facebook Live, and the kids could log into the teacher's, create the school page and have each teacher do a class and have all the kids from that school log in and watch their class on Facebook Live. Hey, you know what? Some adult might actually want to see what the teachers are talking about, because a lot of times they have an agenda, as we all know. So also in this whole process, we've learned that, well, we didn't learn this, but China's always been dishonest, and they're always going to be dishonest, and they're never going to tell the truth, and they're never going to be a true partner in the world community. China's about itself and ruling the world and being one big, massive, evil empire. Don't believe me, just talk to the Uyghur Muslims who have suffered from these people's reign over them and putting them in camps. But between China and the World Health Organization giving us misleading info and telling us that, oh, this can't be spread to person. I mean, Donald Trump had shut down travel from China really early on in January. But if we would have knew 6 weeks or 4 weeks before they had told us this, then we could have actually stopped that travel earlier. Then I read a report today that says most of the cases that came to New York early on actually didn't come from Asia. They came from Europe, which anyone with 2 cents of common sense could put 2 and 2 together and say that's because when Trump, and this happened in February, ahead of the curve of when New York started having all this outbreak. They are the worst state in the country for the outbreak, and they're probably going to remain number one for this whole pandemic. I'm not going to get into the stuff with the governor there and what's going on in New York, but if we would have got more of a heads up from them, Trump could have shut down travel the first week of January, or, hey, the last week of December. Hey, we could have shut down New Year's Eve celebrations all over the place, where, although there weren't really cases of the coronavirus that we knew of in America, there likely was during all these New Year's celebrations, not just here, but all over the world. And we could have stopped that and maybe prevented this. But back to they came from Europe. That's because when Trump instituted this travel ban in January, they probably likely were going to Europe and then transferring to America that way, making most of the cases look like they came from Europe. But that's probably just more Chinese propaganda, just like they continuously release, and the media wants to keep spreading this. But what I've learned in this, after they threatened to withhold medication from America and much needed medical supplies that our hospitals and institutions and places all over the country actually need, and having a difficult time getting it until American manufacturers like GM and Ford are making ventilators. Got paper companies like Hazen Paper Company making hand sanitizer. All the breweries are going to hand sanitizer as well as making their regular booze. But then we got everyday citizens that are just stepping up and making masks. We got even NASCAR's engineers are 3D printing the face shields that the hospitals are using. So a couple things we're learning here in this whole outbreak is China, that we need to end this dependence on China. Donald Trump's president. He campaigned 4 years ago that we needed to end the dependence on China, but it hadn't happened. But I think we're going to see after this a big trend of manufacturing coming back to America more than ever. They're talking about the record unemployment claims for the last 3 weeks, which obviously, if all these things are shut down, but just take a pause. It's temporary. The economy is going to first start coming back slowly, and then it's going to take off with like one of Kim Jong-un's rockets over there at hyper speed, and it's going to come back roaring. And then in the next 4 years, I mean, we're going to see a boom like we've never seen before. And you're going to see more and more factories opening and more manufacturing. And countries like Japan, who are now pulling their manufacturing out of China, which the Japanese and the Chinese don't really get along, so why they're manufacturing there and not in Japan is beyond me. But my guess is they're going to start investing in America. And then we're going to make some trade deals with other countries, and things are going to get, I mean, our GDP, I'm thinking we're going to hit like 8% in like 4 years from now. That's just a prediction. Call it crazy when it's hard to get 3% or 4% in a quarter. But we can do it if we all set our minds out to it. But there's going to be a lot of temporary and permanent changes. Some of the temporaries, obviously, wear a mask out when you go to the grocery store, stand 6 feet apart from people, wash your hands nonstop, which you should do anyway, because, hey, germs don't take a break. They don't go away. They're always there. Like, I don't know what that whole toilet paper like fiasco was, but now it seems to be disinfectant wipes, which is understandable. But if you try to find these things, it's almost impossible. But some of the other products like tissues are coming back now. Toilet paper is more readily available. The food supply is coming back, which I'm seeing things about farmers, or the pork prices are plummeting because pork, maybe make bacon out of pork, and restaurants use a lot of bacon for things like bacon cheeseburgers and other things, bacon wrapped steaks. And restaurants aren't open, they're not using much, but I see milk and eggs, it's the same thing. So farmers are probably going to need a bailout, or somebody's going to say farmers need a bailout, but farmers are always struggling, so saying they need a bailout is not new news to anybody. But some of these permanent changes are going to come in education. But then we're going to see restaurants whose standards are going to be skyrocketed for cleanliness. Then we're going to see more restaurants, because the restaurants we have are going to reduce the capacity in their seating areas to keep people more spread out, and it's just going to be a trend. And then you're going to see in like places like movie theaters, they may make like patches of 4 seats and then a space and a patch of 4 seats and a space, and keep people more spread out. And then in between each row, it's just going to be lots of leg room to keep people down. They're saying the airline industry is going to even struggle to come back after this. But I'm thinking there's going to be less planes flying, so we can take rows out of there too and keep it to the 3 and the 3 and 3 and the 2 aisles, but then an empty row. And then that'll solve a big problem of people reclining, no problem. No people will be kicking everybody else's seat. I don't really fly anywhere, but I've seen these stories on the news quite often. So, yeah, we're going to have a lot of permanent changes. And, then they're saying, a lot of people are having trouble actually filing unemployment claims, which that's due to the state's failures of upgrading the systems. I mean, Facebook has a massive server. iRacing.com has a record surge of membership signing up after they put professional race car drivers doing sim racing on TV. And then they got records. And they still didn't crash. They're constantly updating, but states, they're so antiquated and outdated, and the software is ridiculous, and it's time to get with the program and get with the times and fix the problems, which have been pointed out now that you can see. If there's something major that happens, you're not going to be able to handle it, and things are going to get overloaded. So we're going to take a quick break here at the Trumped Up Podcast, and we'll be right back. Hey, you too can join the podcasting world and be one of the greatest podcasters out there. Build an audience, get sponsorships, earn money, and do many, many interesting things. You can also get listener support to help sponsor your show, all by using Anchor. Anchor is the easiest way to become a podcaster. Anyone can do it. If you got something to say, or someone thinks you got something to say, or you just want to say something, come and join Anchor and join the podcasting revolution. Hello and welcome back to the Trumped Up Podcast, Season 2, Episode 7, We the People. I am your host, Keith Rao. And now that we're back, let's talk about how we can gradually bring the economy back one sector at a time over a period of weeks, not months, not years, weeks. You know, certain things are going to take a little longer to come back. I mean, I think we're going to start seeing in the sporting industry, in sports, we're going to start seeing things like NASCAR races and IndyCar races eventually start out with no fans and be broadcast on TV, and then over time they're going to start bringing the fans in and then let them come back to the events. But I don't think they're going to allow those large gatherings at first. Theme parks and movie theaters and bars, and I think you think of, okay, where can we keep the numbers lower of things we can open and other things that we can't? Like industries, I'm sure there's some factories that shut down during this. There's a lot of retail stores that have shut down during this. You know, a store like Five Below doesn't really have a massive amount of people in there. Or there's other stores like Ocean State Job Lot where in certain cities they're limiting it to essential products only. So eventually that's going to be able to come back to you'll be able to buy any product. Even Walmart in the town next to me is being limited to essentials only because they were having a problem with people just hanging out in the store like it's no big deal. They're bringing the wife, the husband, the 3 kids, the grandmother, the sister, the brother, and you got 10 people in a group looking at clothing on a shelf and video games and sporting goods and things that nobody really needs now. I mean, and most of those things you can still order online, so you don't have to physically go to store to get stuff except for your food products. And I think even some retailers, I believe in Walmart, has offered home delivery of groceries now, but several stores already did that in my area through Peapod and other things. And I'm surprised the people that do Uber and Grubhub and all these delivery services haven't got in on the game of order groceries online and we'll pick them up. There's an opportunity. See, Where some people find a problem, other people find a solution. And they say, oh, look at this. If we could just go to this retailer who picks the order, and then we show up at a side door so we don't have to go into the front of the store because it's specifically for us, or a loading dock, and here's the order. And then I'll pick it up, and then I take it to the customer that bought the stuff, and there's a whole new opportunity. So if you know how to make that happen, or you know somebody that you could make that happen with, I just gave you $1 billion idea probably. But I didn't really give you the idea because I just took one thing that already exists and took it to another level. Businesses got to think all the time, how can I stay in business? How can I stay open? How can I adapt to this? What can I do? How can I get around this? You always have to find a way, no matter what. Even when things get complacent and business is good and you think, oh, everything's great. No, you got to be thinking, how do I get to the next level? But we also have to think of our economy this way and get the economy going back this way again as we come back. And I'm telling you, by next year, I'm thinking we're going to have a colossal, massive, freaking boom like nobody's seen. It's going to start slowly and gradually, and then it's going to ramp up, and then it's going to ramp up, and then around election time, it's going to ramp up some more. But then we're going to get to winter, and it's going to be flu season, and everybody's going to go back to this, oh, maybe we should avoid people stuff, which I tend to do that in the winter anyway, because I don't want the flu or any other viruses or colds. So if you do a lot of this stuff they're telling you now, and the people that are stocking up and shop once a month for like your things like your laundry detergents, your cleaning supplies, your dish soaps and paper towels, toilet paper, and then you just get us all. And then, hey, you don't have to go back to the store for any of that stuff. So it reduces your interaction with having to go out to the store 80 times, unless you're a shopaholic, then that's your business. But I prefer not to. Matter of fact, when I buy meat for a whole month. So when this whole thing came around, it kind of made my life more difficult because there's limits on everything, which requires me to have to go to stores more often, which I haven't really gone but a couple times, and I'm pretty stocked up for the month, and things like pastas. Think about it, how many boxes of pasta are you going to need for a month? 10 at the most? A couple boxes of spaghetti, some rotini, some ziti, and then, hey, how many jars of spaghetti sauce? These things aren't going to go bad unless you buy 400 of them, like these extreme coupon people that have warehouses of candy bars and soda. And I'm like, I get what they're doing on that show, but I don't get why they're buying the products they're buying, except because they have a coupon and it's becoming an addiction to them. So now we're going to go to the media's delusional fantasies about medications not being good for you. President Trump touted a medication called hydroxychloroquine. This medication's been used for rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, and malaria since like the 50s or the 60s, with very few deaths or side effects from it other than a rash. As a matter of fact, Dr. Oz was trying to check medical records and insurance records to find out if anybody actually who takes this medication in the first place actually got the coronavirus, or they didn't, because it may very well be a preventative as well as something that will help you. Because what they're saying is the coronavirus actually is kicking your immune system into hyper overdrive, which causes all these things to go haywire in your body, especially if you have underlying health problems. So what the hydroxychloroquine does is reduces your immune response so you're not in overload, and somehow that way, within a few days of that and the Z-Pack and zinc, which zinc shortens colds, hence the product Zicam. I'm a Zy fan for Zicam. No, I'm not, but that's the commercial. But yeah, they're all like, oh my God, people are going to die. The media is like, the people are going to die if they take this and it's dangerous. And Dr. Wolf-Blitzer and Rachel Maddow and Don Lemon, none of these people are doctor. Maybe Dr. Sanjay Gupta, but not the rest of these people on these networks. None of them are doctors. None of them have medical experience. None of them have a medical degree. They're journalists, and that's questionable in itself. But chances are, if you're risking going to die anyway, you're going to try something, even if the side effects are death. And I don't know if any of these people read the side effects on most medications. They're pretty messed up. Most of them cause the problem or something worth. Just look at the FDA is talking about pulling Zantac off the market because something in it actually causes cancer. So you want to fix your reflux, your acid reflux, but you're likely to get cancer from the crap. But this takes me back to where are most of these medications in the world made? And maybe China's been playing the chemical warfare game for a long time, and we were just stupid enough to get sucked into it from past leadership. But we're going to break that cycle. And these media people, instead of trying to be positive, the fear-mongering and the crazy stuff they come up with every day is ridiculous, to the point that they're actually promoting Chinese propaganda and crazy stuff, and like bugging out about Donald Trump being positive during a pandemic. Hello, everybody should be positive. Even in the most negative situation, find the positive. This is what you should do. And then we got the Democrats here. They passed the third stimulus bill. I don't know what the first two exactly were. The third one's the one where you're going to get a stimulus check. But they throw money in for things like refugee resettlement and crazy other stuff, like money to the Kennedy Center and NASA and whatever else that had nothing to do with it. Congress needs to knock that crap up. But now they want to create a commission, 9/11 style commission, to investigate the president, which is just freaking ridiculous altogether, because it's just ridiculous. And the amount of money they waste, and when they create these bills that they throw all these goodies in for their lobbyists or their buddies or whoever, they need a 9/11 style commission to investigate what the hell they're wasting all this money on. Like a lot of the studies they waste money on that we shouldn't be studying because it's just stupid and pointless. But I'm assuming this commission is just for impeachment 8.0 or 12.0 or whatever freaking one we're on now. But they just got to stop. So hopefully we can all go out and vote in November. Well, we can, and we're gonna reelect Donald Trump, and we're gonna take the majority of the House back, and then hopefully we'll gain a few seats in the Senate, and then hopefully we can get a lot more stuff done in this country. And the reason I say that Donald Trump's going to get reelected is now that Bernie dropped out, half of his supporters are not going to vote for Joe Biden. He's not progressive enough for them. He's not about the free college and raising the minimum wage and the free health care and whatever other crazy ideas Bernie had. That, as you see in the world, your test run of socialism isn't working, and it's annoying, and it needs to stop because democracy and capitalism are the way to go. But yeah, a lot of these Bernie people are not going to vote for Joe Biden, so a lot of them are going to stay home, and a lot of them are going to vote for Donald Trump because they can't vote for Joe Biden, just probably because he's senile. I don't know. I can't believe this guy actually is going to be their nominee. It's just ridiculous. But he's probably going to stay in hiding as much as he can over the next 6 months, because if he comes out, it's just another blunder from hell. Or he just doesn't seem to know what the hell's going on anymore, except he remembers what fig Newtons he ate in Michigan with the governor. But some things we remember and some things we don't. Even people with dementia memories of certain things and other things they don't remember until comes a point they don't remember anything. But there's something not right with them for sure. But hey, we can all look at the bright side. When this is all over, this time they're not going to blame the Russians. No. I keep seeing all this stuff about the Tiger King and all this crazy stuff, and even a reporter at the briefing was asking about the Tiger King. So, hey, when Joe Biden loses, he'll have the greatest excuse ever. He can blame Carol Baskins for his 2020 loss. This is the Trumped Up Podcast, Season 2, Episode 7, We the People. Catch us on all podcasting platforms. Check us out on Facebook, on Twitter, and pick up a copy of The Democratic Asylum, either hardcover at Barnes & Noble. You can get it on Kindle or ebook at Amazon, as well as paperback. The Kindle Unlimited is pretty cheap, and then you get to read as many ebooks as you like. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back next time with another interesting episode.